The fires in Los Angeles have ravaged the entertainment industry this week. Jimmy Kimmel had to be canceled. The Oscars are being postponed, at least parts of it. And the homes of many celebrities are up in smoke. It's no fun, folks, and we will not make fun of anything happening because we are grieved to see it happen. Today we'll tell you why this may be something that actually continues on into the next few days. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we, as ever, give you the analysis you need to know what's going on in an entertainment industry in need as well. Folks, as we get ready to get started, click that like button and we'll tell you what's going on with the flames that are more than flickering in Los Angeles, a space as big as Manhattan set ablaze. And it is a real maze of difficulty now being set forth for the entertainment industry as they try to figure out how to navigate this absolute disaster. All right, folks, coming to you from Independent, we've got an update on what's happened. It's no good, it's no fun, and we hate that this is happening across California, but really just in Los Angeles and really just in a few places. But I do want to say, for those out there who are kind of wiping this away and saying, well, it's a teeny tiny portion of Los Angeles. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I just was watching in the studio. It came up in one of the news feeds over on my left side. Apparently, these fires now add up to the same size as Manhattan. Oh, so wow. If you can imagine all of Manhattan, that's how much area is burning. And that's
and it's still burning. It could take the Bronx and Staten Island too.
And that's no good. Jacob Stolworthy and Kevin E.G. Perry are the authors here. It says, we raised our children here, the Hollywood stars whose homes have burnt down in California wildfires. No fun at all. A wave of catastrophic wildfires sweeping across Southern California left Hollywood stars among those devastated as their homes were reduced to ashes. The fires, which have claimed 5 lives and forced more than 70,000 people to flee their homes, continue to rage across L.A. County, fueled by high winds. Now, folks, we'll come back to talk about all of these celebrities who unfortunately have lost their homes, and we do not celebrate that. We do not enjoy it. It grieves us to know that they're grieving. We'll come back to that in just a moment, but I want to show you that the impacts are being felt across entertainment. Take a look at this out of Variety by Kate Arthur and Michael Schneider. Jimmy Kimmel Live after midnight canceled tapings due to Los Angeles fires. So poor Jimmy has been canceled. Not entirely, just briefly, but he'll be back, folks. But Jimmy Kimmel cannot do what he's supposed to do, and one has to wonder what else is being canceled that we don't know about because it just does not make the radar of the trades. Jimmy Kimmel Live has been canceled, and it was talking about Wednesday night. This could continue because of the fires that have been raging throughout L.A. since Tuesday. Variety has confirmed. Kimmel's Wednesday guest stars were slated to include Cynthia Erivo, where she was going to announce, we assume, that she has the storm roll. No, we kid. Brian Jordan Alvarez and musical guest Victoria Canal. Should JKL also shut down on Thursday, that's Jimmy Kimmel. Guest currently lined up, well, that's Timothy Chalamet. He's Wonka himself. Canceled and tossed out. We've also got that CBS has canceled tapings for After Midnight, both for Wednesday and Thursday. And we'll see how things go with Friday, of course, Friday evening. And we have these situations, folks. These don't bring us any joy. Actor James Woods, this from Charlie Kirk, breaks down in tears as he describes the fires in Los Angeles. One day you're swimming in the pool, the next day it's all gone. Some of you out there have seen this. We'll play it again. I want you to understand, because for some people, empathy is not the first reaction to what's going on in California. And I just want to say that as we watch what's underway, I think the correct response is to wish well for people and to want the best for people. Never take joy in the suffering of others. Ever, ever, never. Here's James Woods.
On the hill, we finally got into the Sunset congestion. It's 9 miles to Beverly Hills. It takes us usually about 25 minutes. Took 2.5 hours. And you have to understand, somebody didn't charge their car, their electric car, didn't put gas in their gasoline car. And now they're on Sunset. Oh, I got to abandon my car. And now the fire trucks can't get through. And now people can't walk. When we couldn't get our door open because the wind was blocked, because our door goes up like this, I said, oh my God, we're up in the hills here. We got to walk out. I'm 77 years old, man. I can't walk up these hills. It's like Mount Everest here. It's like, pretty steep. So, it's just I posted this on X, but Sarah was on with her 8-year-old niece last night. And she came out. I'm sorry. Just, one day you're swimming in the pool and the next day it's all gone. But she came out with her little Yeti piggy bank for us to rebuild our house.
Oh.
That's a sweet kid.
Oh my gosh. James Woods, we all hope that you will be able to rebuild your house, maybe starting with that little Yeti piggy bank. And we're just glad that you're okay and your wife is okay.
I'm sorry,
you have your
I'm
lives.
usually,
Yeah, no, I
thought-
this is real and it's raw.
I thought I
and
would
you,
be stronger than this.
you don't need, you are, you know what? It's strength is not measured by whether, you hold in crying or not. Strength is what you are doing now and helping your neighbors and shining a light on the great, amazing work of all those firefighters and emergency crews out there.
So James Woods, very few people have done as much as he has done to fight what's been happening in California. The man was essentially canceled from Hollywood. The man, he's the voice of Hades in Disney, yet Disney will hardly recognize him. He was beloved. Remember the reference to James Woods in Family Guy? Now people like Seth, well, they just can't stand him. Maybe this is a healing moment, folks. And James Woods, listen, the suffering, the pain there. And I just want to say there's going to come a day in the future where, in spite and despite the horrible leadership in California, there's going to come a time when little pink piggy banks need to come in to help the people who have been victims of this. That's my human response, is to say, we'll come in, we'll do our best, we'll help, because the inclination is to help when you see suffering. At least if we're appropriately aimed, that is the way. Now, how you help in the most appropriate fashion, that's something that we should discuss. But reducing suffering, a good thing. Let's talk about the suffering, though. Unfortunately, Billy Crystal has lost his home. No good. Paris Hilton lost a home. Anna Faris has lost a home. Carrie, I think that's pronounced Elwes has lost a home. Anthony Hopkins, 87. What a shame. What a shame that Anthony Hopkins has lost a home. We've got, and you can keep going. You can just keep going. Miles Teller. I mean, I don't, why in the world would I, have anything against Miles Teller? Home is gone. Spencer Pratt, Heidi Montag. Panel, your thoughts on what we've seen happen, and the fact that this might not be the end. We may have many more. And the people who are not in the headlines, they're the ones that I feel the most sorry for, because they don't have the ability to signal boost themselves and get help right away. They've got to depend on, FEMA, yay, and basically that means us.
Yeah, it's
having
tragic,
lived
man.
through this,
Absolutely tragic.
I had a moment like James Woods was just having. I was trying to stay strong for everybody else, for my wife, for my neighbors. And we had evacuated and couldn't get back into our home because the whole area was blocked off because they didn't want looters and stuff. But we still had to go pick up our mail at the local mailbox at the post office near my home. And one day I'm driving there and I'm trying to keep up and I'm trying to keep chipper and trying to keep strong. And I had a total breakdown in the car. I just started crying and I said, I'm entitled to be destroyed by this, damn it. And I know exactly what they're going through, and I've seen so much of it. The big question is, let us assume for a minute that these people, being responsible, grown-up, wealthy people, mostly, if they have a house of that value, that their house was insured, and that therefore, in theory, they're going to get money back to build a house. Great, but try getting insurance again, because insurance companies have been running away from California because of the rules that the state government put on them to keep them from charging what it would cost to actually replace it again. And if you can't get insurance, you can't get construction, you can't do it. My experience was that so many people in my neighborhood had to go live with relatives, many of them out of state. And all right, in theory, they got an insurance check, but they didn't come back. And when they don't come back, the people who didn't get burned out but are on the borders, the 7-Eleven, the local dry cleaner, the subway, whatever, 3/4 of their patrons are no longer there. How do they survive? It's a ripple that lasts in a neighborhood for, I would say, 10 years at least. So it's worse than you think. And if you don't appreciate the fact that the winds are blowing 75, 100 miles an hour, means that the water dropping helicopters and planes can't go in because they can't fly in that. So they can't even, make a line in the sand of fire retardant and liquid and try and stop it at a certain point. When we left our community, as we were driving out the gate, the firemen had just been told, drop your hoses and get the hell out of here. And when we came back, those big, heavy brass nozzles on the end of fire hoses, they were flat as a pancake from the heat. They had melted. People with vinyl picket fences, it looked like spaghetti, even if it wasn't burned. The heat is unbelievable. And as I've said on a couple of shows already today, but it still bears repeating, if you're in that fire there and you say, well, that's terrible, but if you're not in that area, well, guess what? When the winds blow this way, we were told that embers, glowing combustible embers the size of golf balls, were carrying as far as 3 to 5 miles away from the fire. And that's why you'll just see, oops, there's a fire in the middle of nowhere. Oops, there's another one. And before you know it, it's a bad, 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 bad thing, folks.
I won't go into great detail, but I have been through a disaster before, and there's an interesting thing that happens where if you are not forced to do it, you may want to get that check, and then you question whether or not you should rebuild. Because people build these things, and the older you get, the more you think, okay, well, this is going to be a place that maybe my grandchildren will come back to. You start to build things on the idea of legacy, and that has been rendered kind of useless here by a fire. There's a scripture out there that says in the Bible that says, don't lay up for yourself treasures where moth and rust destroy. And that's not meant to be a finger in the eye of people who have something destroyed, but you have to make sure that your treasure is something that is not treasure in the traditional sense of the word, and that's really true in times like today. When I see something like what James Wood said, his grandchild coming up to him with a piggy bank, he may have lost everything, but he's still wealthy in that way.
Yeah, yeah, and you just can't imagine it, people. You really can't. I was telling the story. There was a house across the street from us that on the outside didn't look too bad, but they faced a house that completely burned to the ground. And on the wall that faced that house, they had a big, giant glass picture window. And I thought, gee, it's still intact. The guy says, oh, yeah, come on inside. They had some of that UV film, on that window to keep the sun. You go inside, that window looked like a piece of taffy cracked on a countertop. It was so shattered. It looked like a stained glass almost, because the film was holding it together. And from the outside, you didn't know that it was totally destroyed. All kinds of weird, quirky stuff like that would happen. I've told the story in our neighborhood, there were a lot of cars burned. And the fire chief came in. He said, there's got to be a lot of dead people in here because they didn't drive the cars out. Well, a lot of them, either they were on vacation or they had a second car. So they brought in cadaver dogs, and they went into a house and, oh, we got a hit. Turns out it was the woman's husband's ashes in the urn that was on the mantle that fell over and spilled out. And that's what the dogs were smelling. Oh. All these weird things happen. The firemen rolled. One guy had a very classic Corvette, and they rolled it out into the middle of the park in the middle of our area so that it wouldn't be near the fire. And God bless him for that. But I tell you, it's not something you want to. And then, of course, you have to remember that when all this ground cover finally burns, the stuff they should have been controlling, it takes away any of the ability of that land to hold water when it rains. And it does rain in Southern California. And when it does, now these same canyons that have been burned down wind up getting floods and mudslides. Yep. And you see people in their bathrobe with their last pipe and standing there and they're being interviewed. Are you going to rebuild? Oh, yeah, it's God's country up here. Yeah, well, more power to you. But at a certain point, you have to kind of reevaluate.
Well, that would be my question to Derek. Derek, given how this has been handled, given the criticisms, do you think that not just people, but maybe companies that are important to entertainment. Do you think this is going to be an accelerant for them going to places like Atlanta?
I've been wondering about this. This is one of the things I've been asking myself. Like, okay, you have, the mismanagement in this state is now at an all-time high, and it's on display for everybody. And a lot of people have been getting frustrated with the work leaving anyway. This may be the kick in the tail. A lot of these producers, and not necessarily all of them, but some of them might want to say, hey, you know what? Let me see what's going on in a different state. Let me see about that, because what's the point of building up and trying to reestablish a house again and keep your roots here in California if things are just going to be like this? A lot of these, James Woods didn't have insurance. I believe that's the story right now, that, he said they canceled my insurance 4 months ago for, fire insurance. So he's literally on his own. Yeah, he'll get FEMA money, I'm pretty sure. But, what do you do? How do you build in a state that is this poorly mismanaged? I couldn't do it. I'm here because I was born here, and, I do love the state of California in a lot of ways. The weather, can't beat it. And then most of my people are here. Most of my family members are here, from, up and down California. But, I have places I can go in other states, and it's been a long thought process. It's like, okay, where do I want to finalize, where do I want to lay down, or finish up my time on this earth? And I don't know if I want to continue to live in this state. This state is bad, man. It's really badly mismanaged, and things like this really frustrate me. And then when you what really frustrates me is when you try to have like an honest conversation about it with people that your neighbors, maybe people you work with, friends that you've had for years and years and years. And because they're so deranged against one political party, they don't even want to have the honest conversation about how did we get here? How did we arrive at this situation where, the city is on fire and we can't put it out? How did we get here? Let's have a conversation about it. Let's be honest about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Oh, no. The time for that is later. We got to talk about that later. It's like, no, let's talk about it now because the emotions are here. Let's discuss this in a rational way, but let's talk about it. This is how it happened, and a lot of people are running away from that conversation. So I'm frustrated just from that level, because it's like, see, this is what we've kind of been telling you, that this state, this government, I don't know if you guys saw the governor, Gavin Newsom. They asked him a question about the lack of water in fire hydrants. And, he just threw up his hand. Well, that's not my problem. I don't understand what you guys are asking me that question for. And I'm like, bro, you're the governor. Like, you should know why this is happening. Or if you don't know, find out. And okay, you know what? That's a terrible problem. I'm not sure how that happened. But
or at least have the sense to say.
What's that?
Or at least have the sense to say, we're going to coordinate with local on that.
We're going to find out. I'll have an answer for you tomorrow morning. Because that is ridiculous. The fact that there's no water in the fire hydrants. What are these fire hydrants for if there's no water in them? It's like you can't park in front of a fire hydrant. And it's like, okay, like what's the point of this thing if if it's not a resource to handle the problems that are going to come? That's the kind of stuff that frustrates me, man. It really does. So yeah, if this doesn't wake people up to, hey, we got to think stronger and differently about our politics, then I don't know what will,
And this speaks to that. Warner Brothers Discovery committing to build an $8.5 billion production studio in Las Vegas. They are just one of many companies looking to get out, at least to some extent, but some are completely out. Chevron has left California. They're out of California now. Tesla has left. Oracle is gone. Hewlett-Packard is gone. Palantir Technologies is gone. In the past,
sounds like Facebook is about gone too.
Yeah, Meta leaving, and in the past you'd have thought, Silicon Valley, the most powerful AI companies in the world will be 1,000% located in California, no doubt. No, Memphis, Tennessee is getting the Colossus supercomputer, the biggest, 3 times over more powerful than any other supercomputer, going to Memphis, Tennessee. Like, this mismanagement of California is not only leading to entertainment companies getting out and citizens getting out and an exodus that we've been watching for the past 4 years, but it's leading to a point now where just flat out the big companies. And this bragging about the, it's the 5th largest economy in the world and all that. Yeah, for how long?
It was 8th. Now it's 5th. Now it's 10th. Now it's who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows anymore? And by the way, not to get too political, but one of the biggest problems is that the Democrats decided to switch to what they call a jungle primary, which is primaries used to be the Democrats pick their guy, the Republicans pick their guy, the other parties pick their guys, and they all go on to the final ballot. But they changed the law here and in a few other states to say the top 2 vote getters, regardless of party, wind up in the finals. Well, in a state like California with a predominantly Democrat electorate, in 9 times out of 10, they were both Democrats. So suddenly the Republicans are frozen out of any kind of representation, even in the primary level. But the unintended consequence was now you got 2 Democrats with the same donors, the same supporters, the same consultants and ad people fighting over them. And the one that doesn't get in is dead. So it winds up slimming your bench considerably. But when you've got that going on, it's very hard to vote them out.
Absolutely. Well, we will pay attention, folks, because Southern California matters dramatically to entertainment. We'll keep paying attention to what's going on. And I guess I'll say this as we get ready to wrap it. It's insufficient. It's not acceptable to just say that the boogeyman, the conservative magic spell of climate change, is destroying you and you can't fix it and you can't fight it. Meanwhile, the rest of the country, when they face catastrophe, they just say, well, this is part of what we've been going through for thousands of years, and we're going to prepare for the next one. It's not enough to say, we didn't clean out our brush and we didn't store our water, and therefore it's those rascally conservatives. It's not good enough anymore. All right, we'll leave it there.
It sounds like the real climate change was the Democrat policies they voted for along the way.
As ever, folks, we endeavor to have a good time here on the Pro Channel, and I have to say that spending time with you, talking about things that truly matter, like the stories that shape our lives and our culture, well, it is the ride of a lifetime, to steal from Bob Iger. And that's the only thing we'll steal from Bob, because he has great security around his yacht. Folks, as we get ready to say goodbye, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. And folks, worry not, for more content is still on the way. 3 or 4 times a day. Let's do 4. I think that's better. And you know what? Don't forget that the Pro Show is live Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Eastern. You can also join us for our friends on That Park Place, our partner program. We have a good time there too. Folks, until the next time we get the opportunity to have a good time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as ever, keep having fun.